tossed and turned last night whether I should give a crack at your last name, but I'm not going to. Yes, I'm going to. Please give it up for Krzysztof Szyszkiewicz. Is that okay?
My name is Krzysztof Szyszkiewicz.
That's what I said. That's what I said. That's what I said.
And today, my friends, we're going to talk about pricing. So the most important lever in SaaS business, maybe not the most important, but the most impactful. And actually right now we are in the wave also in AI pricing. So we'll also touch how to price an AI to make it mission possible instead of mission impossible. So my name is Chris, that's me 4 years ago. So if you want to get 10 years older in 4 years, found yourself a company that is exactly what's going to happen to you. I'm co-founder of Valueships. We're a boutique pricing consultancy. We work mostly with technology companies from very early stage, pre-seed, seed rounds, up until to companies with 300, 400, 500 million ARR. We are a group of 35 people, and I actually am so frequently in Amsterdam, not only because I like Stroomwafel, but also it's one of the biggest market for us. So friends, here we all care, maybe not care, but there is one thing that we all have in common, right? We all care about profits. As long as you are not an NGO, we all care about the profit. And if you think about this, if you think in terms of a profit comes down, if you want to increase your profit, it comes down to the profit equation, right? And if you think in terms of profit equation, it's price time value minus fixed cost minus variable costs, right? So we as a founder, C-level people who are working in SaaS, in any actually company, we treat those 4 levers in order to increase our profits. So we are all busy, right? We are talking about sales, branding, how to work on LinkedIn in your sales processes, blah, 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 stuff like this. And we need to figure out what lever we should pull, where to actually dedicate our time. So which lever is the strongest one, right? And fortunately, we do have tons of data that are supporting us in making those decisions. So what you can see here, if you gonna increase or optimize by 1% the levers that you can see on the left-hand side, this shows you how much profitability improvement it's gonna create for you, right? So if you're gonna optimize your fixed cost by 1%, profitability improvement that you could expect is around 2%. Then you need volume, you hire additional BDR, additional salesperson, you invest a bit more in marketing to sell more volume. What you can expect is around 3% of ROI. Then variable costs goes with 7%, and then pricing, right? Pricing gives you around minimum by the study 9% of return from working on it. What I'm saying is that we shouldn't I'm not saying that we shouldn't work on variable costs, unit volume marketing, stuff like this. What I'm claiming is that we do not spend enough time on pricing. And you could tell me, hey Chris, that's data, old, McKinsey, big companies, CPGs, FMCGs, doesn't apply to SaaS. Well, I am prepared because I got this challenge. So when you think about this, this is a study by Profitwell. We in SaaS, we are operating with a bit different levers, right? Monetization, which is by the way pricing, acquisition and retention. And again, what we see is pricing the most successful or the strongest lever in profitability increase. And let me ask you one question. How many of you have at least one sales or marketing person in your company? Please raise your hand. And how many of you dedicate at least half of the FTE into pricing? Please raise your hand. Right, that's why I'm here, right? So when you think about this, what I'm claiming is that we should spend just a bit more time into pricing. So one important lesson, if there is one thing that I would like to leave you today, always choose the right lever. There will be plenty of flat jokes. I'm doing my best, so prepare for that. So when you think about this, the additional context that I want to bring to the table is AI, right? So what we can see is that with AI, the context of our work changes a lot, because in AI, we are generating more costs, it's going a bit faster, so we need to also adapt our business models actually to accommodate for this change, right? So what we can see in the SaaS ecosystem, there are 8 important shifts that are happening to our monetization models. Unfortunately, I only got 60 minutes with you, that's correct, right? No, no, it's 30, right? So I got 30 minutes with you. So I will only go through 3 changes that, in my eyes, are the most important for today. And then we'll jump into how, right? So I don't want to just leave you with the academic context, what's are changing, but the first part of my presentation brings a bit of a context to the change that is happening right now. The second part of the presentation will be about how to do it. So the first thing that I'm seeing when it comes to SaaS ecosystem, when it comes to business models with AI coming into play, is work deliver instead of just access. What does it mean, right? So as a B2B companies, we are also want to improve profits of our clients, right? Ultimately, with value-based pricing, the value at the end, what we are delivering is a profit increase, right? And when you think about this, again, going back to the very simple things, which is a profit equation, you can either uplift the revenue of your clients or you can decrease their costs, right? So let's take the example, right? If you think about the revenue uplift, if you're a marketing agency, if you're a marketing SaaS, if you're generating, I don't know, additional leads, you're automating the sending emails, you can create more opportunities for your clients, and then the average price of the opportunity creates additional revenue uplift, right? You can be also an edtech company and you can save your clients time that they are spending on working with the class, preparing the stuff for their pupils, blah, 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 stuff like this. So we are saving the employees' hours, and the cost of an employee hour is multiplied by cost of employee hour, creates a cost reduction. This is how you are influencing the profit of your clients, right? So the big question is, in SaaS, what we should be charging for, right? Before we decide what should be the price, one thing that we should think of is what is the common denominator that we'll be charging for in our companies, right? So then thinking about this, if you take this in consideration and you will ask yourself how much and what to charge for, you need to take into consideration 2 things, right? So first thing is, how tangible is the value that you are creating to your clients, right? The second thing is how direct and big contribution for the success you have, right? So the more tangible is your value that you are creating, and the more direct, the more you can prove the contribution to the value that you are creating for your, to the success you are creating for your clients, the more you can charge, right? It will make sense in a minute, I promise, right? So in case you're contributing a lot to the client's success and your value is tangible for the clients, the more you can charge, right? If you can prove it and if it's tangible, you can create or you can charge around 50% of the value that you are creating, right? So let's go back to the example. Let's imagine that through this automation in marketing, we are creating $500 of quantified dollarized value to our clients, right? And then going back to this matrix, if it's tangible and if you're contributing a lot to the success, you can charge around $250 for your solution. Then, if it's a bit less tangible or the contribution is not that clear for your clients, you can charge less, right? And then, if you are not contributing or very small, if your contribution is very small and tangibility is very low, you can charge even less, right? And why? Coming up with scaling steps and why I've started with core value metrics, because what AI is bringing us to the table is new core value metrics, common denominators that are feasible for our industry. So back in time, we used to live in the world where we are traditionally charging on-premise, right? So we are installing the software on our client premise and client was operating the software. So our contribution to the success and tangibility was lower. Then we went into the cloud, right? So we are operating the software. If something breaks, we are responsible for them. We have CSM in our teams, which means that the contribution and tangibility is higher. Then with AI, we are discussing more and more usage-based pricing. So every time our clients uses our software, they are getting paid, right? Which means that the contribution and tangibility is even higher. Then the next core value metric that is quite present right now is output, right? So for example, if you're an SEO company, you're not longer charging for users, but for example, articles that your AI has written for your clients. It's an output, not an input, right? So if I am getting paid or I am charging my clients only per output, it means that the tangibility and contribution is higher. And then at the end, the creme de la creme of value-based pricing work success, right? So you are charging only for the successful resolutions that your client has made, which basically means that the contribution is higher and also tangibility is higher. And one could claim that this is how the ecosystem looks like right now, right? So we used to have the most basic core value metrics with seeds that were not producing enough tangibility, and we couldn't prove that the success is because of our software. Then we've moved into the tiering, so feature access, limits, then processing-based metrics like credits, you can see it with Clay, blah, 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 stuff like this. Then output-based AI metrics, which is resolutions, generated outputs, and then at the end, ROI as a service, so success sharing, right? And if you would like to learn more, we have a database consisting of 150 companies with AI features or AI native, and you can see what they are charging for. But I think what is the most important is that before I was presenting something academic, you might agree, you might disagree, blah, 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 maybe this is not that tangible for you. But if you look into the data, and we have the benchmark of 7,000 companies, SaaS companies in our database. And if you compare apples to apples, you can see that companies that are charging on the user-based metrics, so like classical SaaS metrics, on average are less expensive than the companies that are charging on more AI native metrics, right? And the difference is quite high, right? So it's not only a theory, but we also see this in numbers. The second thing, multi-layered architecture, right? So before, if you can think of your SaaS models, we're either charging by value metrics, so 1 user, 5 users, 10 users, blah, 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 stuff like this, or features, right? So we had good, better, best, right? This is the classic approach to pricing, to monetization in SaaS that we are living in. Right now, what you can see is that we see more and more things coming into the play that you can monetize as a software company, right? So at the very, very, very beginning, base fees for the product that you are delivering. Then features charged separately as add-ons, stuff like this. AI layers, right? Access, usage. Every time you use, you can be you will charge your clients, right? So before, the old school playbook was about good, better, best features, standard value metrics. What we can see here is like base fees, new value metrics possible, AI on top of current model, and also cool add-ons that you should monetize, right? So the game is getting a bit more complex, right? We have more things to charge on, and we should think of our products in the multi-layered pricing structures, right? And we can see it everywhere, right? So Loom, for example, shifted from AI add-on to AI premium. So they've tested how the AI worked at the very beginning as an add-on, and then while it was the usage of the add-on was quite good, they've introduced it to the premium in their standard package, right? Pipedrive raised prices when adding AI to the more advanced plan, right? So again, we see that adding an AI layer to your core monetization model generates higher willingness to pay, hence higher prices. And maybe, just maybe, have you seen, by the way, the latest Pipedrive pricing update? Nobody is using Pipedrive? Can you imagine CRM that is not charged by users? Hard to imagine, right? All the CRM systems are by users. So what Pipedrive is doing right now, they're introducing limits to number of leads that are available in your CRM. So maybe, just maybe, they're testing the usage pricing in their solution, right? So maybe this is the first step in the transformation that they will be changing core value metric from user to usage, to number of leads that are available, or you can actually have in your Pipedrive. I don't know. I don't have any insider knowledge here to make it crystal clear. Nevertheless, I think it might be the first step. We'll come back to this example. Add-on monetization. So how many of you have any add-on available in your SaaS solution? Around half, so better than benchmark. I will show it in a minute. So how do you choose an add-on, right? So let's go back a bit to the theory. So there is something that is called preference, and there is something that is called willingness to pay. By the way, not the same things. Preference is what your clients would like to have. Willingness to pay is what they are willing to pay for. So if you think about this, features with high preference but low willingness to pay are like alarms in the car. Would you like to have an alarm in your car? Yes. Would you like pay extra for the alarm because because the alarm is in the car? Not really, right? Cars do not differentiate themselves through the alarms. They differentiate themselves through engines, right? Through engines, right? So preference, 500 horsepower. By the way, this joke doesn't work that well because half of the cars are electric here, but like 500 horsepower, right? I want to be faster on when the green light is coming on the intersection. So high preference, high willingness to pay, type of an engine feature. And then no matter if you're driving 500 horsepower car or 100 horsepower car, you can have, come on, it's for leather seats, for example, right? So you can have leather seats. So leather seats are the type of a feature that has low preference but high willingness to pay. It's easy to explain why leather is more expensive than Alcantara, for example, right? So what we see on the market and what we think in terms of an AI is that, of course, you can run this exercise with your team. You can survey your clients in order to understand what you should monetize on top of your core monetization model, but there is also another way, right? If you want to test and learn, I think that every new AI feature, actually every new feature that you are working on should be bound to this circle. So let's start here, right? So you have a new feature, right? If you are introducing new feature, how do you introduce new feature? You are just most likely adding it everywhere, right? Like, I'm not saying you per se, but in general, it's SaaS population, adding new feature, yeah, more features, yeah, the solution will be more rich, like yada, 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 right? But we've spent quite a bit of money on those new features, right? Do you know how, like, you most likely know what is the standard salary of a developer? It's quite high, right? Half of them are coming from Poland. Anyway, so when you think about this, we should think in terms of ROI for the new feature. So if you want to get an ROI from the new feature, maybe while adding a new feature, you should treat it as an add-on, right? And if you're thinking about new AI features, you can start monetizing them as an add-on to test what other monetization options you have. Once this new feature has around 10, maybe 15, maybe 20, depending on the use case, 20% of your users are actually using this feature, then you might think of adding this feature as a premium, right? So this feature got already a bit commoditized, and if it makes sense for you, maybe as Loom you could add it to the most expensive plan. Once the feature is getting commoditized, right, your competition already caught up with you, I mean, this is not a super new shiny thing, then maybe you can add it to the base packaging to increase the conversion, right? So how we are working with this, that with an add-on you try to get an ROI in once it's getting more popular, you are adding it to the premium, you are working on expansion revenue, and then once it is commoditized, you are adding it back to the base packaging to work on the conversion, right? So you are adding, or you are working on different levers where adding new feature. What is important is that if you don't see this feature fly, right? If it's not used enough, if the adoption is good, you can always decide to stop, right? You can always try to revert like stop basically working on this feature, right? So what I'm saying is that if we are adding new AI products to our core monetization model, most likely it's a good thing to introduce it through add-on, then to the premium, and then to the base packaging, right? And this might be you might have heard it already, because this is how innovators' dilemma used to work, right? So you have innovators and early adopters who will use this feature as an add-on, then early majority who go to the higher plan in order to leverage this feature, and then late majority when the feature is available to everyone, right? So what I'm saying is that while adding an AI monetization, while adding an AI feature, you don't have to kill your whole monetization model. You can test and learn it and treat it as a process. And unfortunately, again, going back to the data, going back to our database, we see that, as I said, like half of the crowd raised the hand that they have any add-on policy. Unfortunately, in SaaS ecosystem, we still see that only 20%, 21% of the companies are having an add-ons, and only 21% having any AI feature. What is also important in this graph, what you can see on the right-hand side, is then AI products, AI features are increasing willingness to pay. On average, companies that are having any AI products, any AI add-ons within their monetization or within their product, on average, they are most expensive. In the cheapest plan, the average price for all the plans is also higher, and they are more expensive in the most expensive plan, right? So what we know so far, right, from the theory, out of these 8 changes, I think those 3 are the most important. First of all, output or outcome or success metrics bring more value, hence higher prices, right? If you are charging for output or success, your value is more tangible, you are contributing more to the value of your client, hence you can have higher prices. Higher prices typically means higher profit. Then multi-layered pricing architecture is leveraged by more and more companies, right? So we see examples of giants who are doing that. I think we should also follow them. And add-ons are a good way to start testing your approach, right? So, okay, we know that, that's great. We have some data that is backing this up. So how to do it? How to actually price your AI, how to work with your AI monetization, right? So together with our clients, we came up with, of course, framework, blah, 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 4 steps, not classical 3 steps, but there are, but I will also, will go on if I will start describing with the first one. So first of all, you need to understand the use case for your AI, right? Why you are building, why you are adding the AI feature to your product. So if you're catching up with your competition, most likely this is not a monetization use case for you, right? If your competition is ahead of you and you need to catch up with them, most likely pricing is not the biggest problem that you are currently having. Nevertheless, if you, for example, are like Intercom with FinAI and you know that your AI will bring you costs, and this is quite innovative, and you want to generate more revenue through the AI, this can be already a monetization use case for you, right? So you can start working with your monetization in case you want to bring more revenue, more value to your clients. Also, with AI, what we're seeing is that companies are testing, maybe like Pipedrive is doing right now, but companies try to test new monetization methods through adding new AI features. They look at the adoption. If the adoption is well, then they can change the whole monetization method, right? So the second use case that we see currently in the market is testing for core value metrics monetization. So if you want to test, if you want to go through pricing transformation, change your core value metric, you might start testing it through the add-on. If the adoption is good, you can start scaling it. Number one, right? The second one, of course, you need to choose the core value metric, right? So you can test it, and there are a couple of ways of testing it. So first of all, I mean, there is a classic way of testing core value metrics, which is survey-driven approach. You can ask your prospective clients which type of a value metric is the most preferred in your audience, right? You can also use this framework, right? So if you think about your value metric, basically value metric should have 5 characteristics, right? First of all, value alignment. Does this metric align with the value that I'm creating for my clients? Scalability. Does this metric allow for long-term growth? Auditability. That's quite important. Can the metric be measured in an objective and transparent way? Acceptability. That's very tricky, right? So is it acceptable within this industry for my persona to be charged for that, right? And if you think in the CRM use case, I mean, nobody is charging for anything else in CRM than users. So most likely acceptability for charging for leads will be quite low. And predictability is the growth profile of the metric, predictable both to me and to my customers, right? But then, if we want to follow the current trends, right, the things that we're seeing on the hype train, the things that we're seeing for LinkedIn, let's just for a minute assume that you want to charge for an output or a success. So things that are the most popular popular right now, right? And then you might see this matrix that, you know, success brings the most contribution, it's the most tangible, then output is a bit more tangible, but you know, it's hard to explain contribution, yada, yada, yada. What I want to say is that success is not for everyone, right? If you can't prove the value to your customers, most likely success is not the metric that you should use. Nevertheless, if we want to follow the trends, let's imagine that we have those two options. We want to charge by output or we want to charge by success, right? So let's start with an output. With an output, you have two models, basically. The first model, maybe there are more models, but there are two models that are the most popular right now. So you have a passive model. There is an Enforce Shield company. They're protecting intellectual property. So any case, if your report, for example, got leaked and is available, infringement, this is the word that I was looking for, right? So they're fighting for infringement. So every time when infringement happens, basically you pay $149 for this company to delete this infringement from internet, right? You can also be in the model that you are giving all outputs for free in unlimited model, in unlimited model, so you're charging per access. So in the passive model, basically how you can do that, you can do cost of providing this feature to your clients, and then you can put margin on top, right? So this is quite simple. Do you know what is the average margin for AI products nowadays? It's from 60 to 70%, right? So this is how much you can expect, or you can charge the percentage of value, which is quite tricky. What is the good thing about the passive model, right? So the positive in the passive model, you will certainly not lose, right? So if you are charging for every time that in that case infringement happened and you have cost plus pricing, you will not lose for that, right? What is the minus or what is the disadvantage? This is a bit of a prepayment, right? Customer needs to trust you in order to pay for that, and most likely you won't extract that much value from cost-based pricing, right? In the active model, you're setting the price for access just for access. So what is the problem? What is the advantage of that? It is predictable. So we have a lot of discussions that if we just give one price for the whole access of our AI solution to our clients, it is quite predictable in terms of costs for them, right? So they know how much they will pay. Nevertheless, it's not predictable for you, right? Because they can overuse your this product, AI costs, so what happens to your profit, right? Your profit might be below break-even point, it might be negative. How to fight with that? And this is what we have seen, right? In the media, maybe not lately, around half a year ago, that some Altman was saying that the model is, the usage of the model is exceeded, so ultimately they are using money through giving unlimited version of ChatGPT, right? So how to fight for that? How to fight for the predictability of costs if you want to just give an access to your AI feature to your clients? First of all, the first thing you can do is try to ask your customers to predefine how much they will be using, right? So I don't know how many queries you need, stuff like that. The second one is truing them up. So if you want to charge them, I don't know, $100 for this access, and you are seeing that they are overusing this solution, you can true them up in time, which means you can increase their price in time. Does that sound familiar to you? Remind of anything? This is how, not sure in here, but in most of European countries, this is how the electricity prices are working. This is how taxes are working, right? So the country, the state, or the electricity provider is forecasting our usage, and in case we are overusing, they are truing them up for next year. The same goes with taxes. Not sure if in Netherlands it works the same, but I guess yes, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys pay taxes, right? I see by the quality of the streets that you must be paying a lot of taxes. So the third thing is fair trade usage policies. Do you know what is the fair trade usage policy? Do you have an unlimited data plan in your phone? Right. So I will tell you something. If you have an unlimited data plan in your phone, or if you think that you can call anyone forever, so if you want to call me because you like me tomorrow and you want to have the open conversation through phone with me for next 30 days, that's not possible, right? So the unlimited data plan, the unlimited phone calls that the phone companies, telco companies are claiming to have, they are not really unlimited. In the contract terms, there is something that is called fair usage, fair trade usage policies. And basically, if you want to make it easy for your customers, if you want to charge them by output and you want to give an unlimited access to that, you can put in your contract terms fair usage policy. And typically the fair usage policy is at the break even of margin for your company, right? So if you want to charge 100, then once customer is using 1,000 credits, you did already the calculation, and this 1,000 credit costed you 100. This is the bottom of the fair trade usage policy. Okay, output. I know it's heavy. I know it's Thursday. I have 140 slides for 30 minutes. It gives us 10 seconds per slide, but we have 20 more. Success, right? So we want to charge by success, right? So if you want to charge by success, you need to understand or at least estimate how much work hours you can decrease for your customers. How much money you're making them back if you are, I don't know, a charge for example. Are you increasing the revenues of the companies, right? You need to be capable of answering this question and at least forecasting, hypothesizing how much value you bring, right? So if it's hard, if it takes more than 5 to 7 minutes to actually explain to your clients that you are bringing them more revenues, that's not for you, right? If it's not easy to explain as a litmus test, if it's not easy to explain, most likely success is not for you. Success is not for everyone. Do you know what is the most, you already know by the way, spoiler alert, the most popular success model that we all use? Have you ever used booking.com? This is a success-based model, right? So booking.com is taking the commission from the hotels. Every time you, me, made a booking, actually the hotel is paying for that. And if you don't know how much you want, if you feel like you can charge for success, but you don't know how much you can charge, maybe what you can do, you can treat it as a journey, right? So you can take, I don't know, 1% of the money that you are giving them back. Maybe you can put the quote on it, right? What I wanted to say is that it's a process, right? There is not golden formula. It's not existing that you should be charging 20, 30, 40% of success or $10 or stuff like that. Maybe you can start somewhere with 1%, 2% with first 10 customers, and you see if it's you're working, you can increase in time this. And I'm going back to the booking.com version because I know, or pricing, because I know their model very well. They have 24 levers to increase the commission of the hotel from the base commission, right? So if you think that the base commission of booking, which is around 12 to 15%, they have 24 additional add-ons that can make the commission higher. Insurance, financial services, the car, like there are plenty of things that are increasing the total commission. So what I wanted to say is this is a journey, and you don't need to have it fixed when you are starting, right? You can just start somewhere, you can treat it as a process, and then thinking how you can increase this in time. The biggest problem with success, there are actually for who is responsible for success, right? So you're telling, hey, I am responsible for success. And then your customer is saying, no, it's because of my great marketing campaign, stuff like that. Me, myself, we are charging by success our clients, right? And sometimes we're facing this problem that we're saying, hey, pricing increased your revenue by 15%. And they're telling me, fuck no, it's my great marketing campaign that we've launched like 2 weeks ago, right? And you will have those conversations, right? Everyone who is charging the commission will have those conversations. Then retention. First of all, working with different industries back in time back in time in big consultancies, what we have seen already that customers are getting used to good results, right? So you're bringing them success, and first they're, yes, that's so great. You know, we have achieved, I don't know, 10% more resolutions, but then the 10% resolutions in time is becoming a baseline for them, right? So retention for charging in success will be a challenge. And also time to value. If you're charging for success, it means, I know, 1 minute. If you're charging for success, I mean, it might be the case that success will not occur in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and you are not getting charged and your customers are using your solution. This is the problem, right? So how you can solve for that? You can split the payments into stages. You can offer some add-ons, additional support, maybe services hours. You can introduce initial onboarding fees. You can have performance-based payments, which means that you can split success in some installments. You can shorten the implementation. You can be a bit more flexible to adapt your solution to the customer needs, so be a bit more custom made. And of course, incentive programs, right? So if your CSM is achieving results in terms of success with your client faster, maybe they can be remunerated for that, right? And of course, once you already choose your core value metric, you need to understand your usage. So we are going back to this circle. I will not go, I will not re-explain it. And then of course there's like tons of fancy analytics. But in terms of usage, you should understand how many people are actually using it and also the frequency of usage, right? So how often they are using that. Couple of examples here. Happy to send you the presentation so you can then study it at home. That never happens, but happy to do so. Once you are comfortable, you are ready to scale it. So thank you very much. That was like pricing in 35 minutes, I guess. Happy to answer questions.